Right, so we have on Derelict Watchtower Tournament Edition, we have Static spawning as the yellow Protoss in the top right. We have Chase as the green Protoss in the bottom left. If I'm sounding out of breath, it's because I just ran across the venue trying to find out what the delay was. The funny thing is the delay is actually still happening, so this game probably shouldn't have started, but be that as it may, far be it from me to stop what the players want. So yeah, this is a PvP again. Chase is a very aggressive type of player. Whoa, head rush. Where Static seem to have gone for a more macro-y type of game with light pressure into a build. So we'll see what happens from there. I'm still not seeing this team invite, so I'm not sure what's happening there. Applications, subscription. Nope. Okay, so yeah, we just had the players scouting for proxies. As you can see, looking in the general places, this would be a nice 2-gate location. Chase doesn't feel the need, because again, he probably knows the Static favors a nice macro-oriented game. I just want to check them streaming. I am. Okay, cool. Again, so we have the two Protosses scouting each other. We have the mirror image build. We have Chase going for his double gas into 2 on each. It makes up a little bit for getting it so late, where Static goes for 1 gas. Now, Static told me that he has a nice build, and I in fact watched another game where he said, oh look, he's doing my build, and it was something along the lines of proxy Stargate, or failing that, he goes Stargate into like a robo build expand. So he goes Stargate expand, and he does that, and that's what he's most comfortable with. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here. Chase, on the other hand, is going for what looks to be a 3-stalker rush, which is a very standard opener. It's quite safe, and Static, on the other hand, has got just the 1 gas and a lot of probes on gas already. Now there's no chrono boost there, but there's chrono boost there, so we'll have to see what happens. But normally with this build you get a stalker, you get your warp gates, and when the second gateway finishes you get another stalker from that one as well. So yeah, I'm just waiting to see. There we go. So yes, I'm now added onto the Do Gaming League Championships team. So yeah, we'll just see how this goes, and that now I can get back to the game and watch what actually happens. So we've got the mothership call coming out from Chase, none yet from Static, if I'm not mistaken. No, I haven't. No, I haven't missed that. No mothership call from Static. So Static is going for quite a greedy build. Now we look here. We've got Chase just making sure that there are no proxies. We've got Chase's mothership core going out. We've got Chase's stalker going out. We'll have 2 more stalkers coming from Chase and going for the classic 3-stalker rush off of 2 gates. Static, on the other hand, is getting a later mothership core, so you won't have photon overcharge is the actual term. He won't have that up quite as quickly as Chase will, but he's going for an expand. Chase with these 2 gates can do quite a bit of annoying things, especially since it's only 2 sentries and a zealot. So with 3 or 4 stalkers, soon to be 4, he can actually go and do some nice little harass. Static is still only producing off the 1 gate. He does with the second one. He's probably going to drop some tech structure, looking like a robotics indeed, and he's going to go scout. Now he's going to miss this army moving out, if I'm not mistaken. I think he might have caught an edge there. But we've got 3 stalkers versus 2 sentries and a zealot, so that is not great for Chase, for Static rather. And this probe does die, and he'll probably pick off a sentry, no problem. Guaranteed? No, he doesn't. He changes his mind. Doesn't pick it up. He didn't target it down. He didn't get that kill. But Static, on the other hand, has not scouted yet either. So this is quite worrisome for him. So Static is going to go for something like a... No, he's changed his mind. What Static looked like he was going to go there for was he was going to wait for the Nexus to finish and throw down the photon overcharge, but he changed his mind. On the other hand, Chase has got an offensive pylon up. He's getting some more stalkers and a sentry himself, so he can block this off and force the cancel. In fact, no, late force field. Here comes the planetary Nexus. It comes down, and that is quite unfortunate for Chase. If Static was quite clever, he'd focus down the mothership core, but he's not, and that Nexus picks up a kill. And Chase is forced to fall back. But look at units lost there. It's much of a muchness actually, because gas is more of a premium than minerals, and the same amount of gas, though there is a little bit more minerals lost for Chase, but I don't think that's too much of a problem. Now Chase on the other hand is going Stargate expand, which is quite a safe expand. He's looking to punish this greedy opener with no defense really, where on the other hand Static is sitting quite comfortably back on 2 gates and going from an observer just in case there's any sneaky DTs. Now Shase apparently knows Static's reputation because he's getting a forge as well. It might be for upgrades, in fact it probably will be for upgrades, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts getting some cannons in his mineral lines just to be safe. We have Shase starting Phoenix production. Shase is ahead in worker count, which is all that it really matters, especially in the early stage where your photon overcharge is very useful. So I think much as this, well, going just off worker lead, I'd say that this game is favoring Shase right now because Stargate counters Robo. He doesn't know about the Robo, so that's in his favor. He's ahead on workers. His expansion's a little bit late, but he is, I think the term is maynarding. So he does have, you'll see that income stab over there. Not spike at all, apparently. That's quite surprising. Wonder why. Shase has more workers. There we go, the income's starting to pick up there. Shase has got a high income because of that maynard. He leave the rally through there, get 16 probes on that, get 16 probes on that, get his gases up and go from there. Where if we look here, we've got 16 and 12, so it is definitely working in Shase's favor here. Now Shase still has the probe lead. He doesn't have the stalker lead. Now this is getting to be a problem. He wants to start getting some form of defense because planetary nexus, why do I keep on calling that? The photon overcharge isn't quite as useful as one would carry on to think. But we've got Blink started, and let's have a look here. Still no real change in the units lost, though. Those Phoenixes haven't really been revealed. Well, haven't done much damage rather, but they've clearly been revealed. And we'll just have to see what happens from here. Aha! That explains a lot. We have an observer. There it is. Missed that. Okay, so moving on, we've got these Phoenixes coming in, and they should get a free probe. If he hits it. If he hits it. He hits it! And we've got flying into some Stalkers, and they should all get out, in fact, and that was a very neat pickup. Oopsie. That was a very neat pickup from Shase, trading a little bit of hull damage for some economic gain, with 4 probes going down in that exchange. So as long as he doesn't lose them quite stupidly, to be frank, he should be sitting quite well. So he's got a 7 probe lead. He's got a better mining distribution. He is going a little bit high up there, but he's 13 to 17, so his distribution's better. He's got more probes, which is better. And he's got a +1 upgrade, so fairly soon, we're going to see this economy of Shases kick in, and we're going to have double Robo Colossus versus double Robo Colossus. And again, this observer from Static is just chilling in the base. Okay. So now what could actually happen is that someone could go for a very early push without range and just try and see what can happen there. But with the Immortals out, I don't think that's going to be the best plan for Shase, as his Robo is going to be up, and you see he is starting extended thermal lance, where extended thermal lance, where Static on the other hand hasn't started it. So we might actually see something there. Now Static has equaled the upgrades, but he's going for +2 attack as opposed to +1 armor, and that is very good with the Colossus. So it's quite telling. In fact, Static's going for a second forge, so he's getting both of those. He's going for best of both worlds, but I don't know if he quite has the economy to do it. If we look at the incomes again, Shase has got more minerals. Shase has got more gas somehow, but he still only has 2 on each. He's got this probe just standing there. If we look there, we've got 3. So Shase has got a better economy, and he's getting some Void Rays because Void Rays counter Colossus, and this is looking very good for Shase. Remember I was talking about how with the probe lead will come up the army lead, and that's exactly what's happened. Shase is developing a better army, a stronger army, and an army that counters Static. So this could be quite intriguing to see how it goes out, because I think right now, as it stands, with the upgrades, Shase is favored. But he really needs to have finished that Twilight Council a little bit earlier, because with double Forge and the Twilight Council up already for Static, it could quickly go out of his control. Now Shase has scouted those double forges, if I'm not mistaken. He has indeed. So he knows that he's behind on that. But he is not actually getting a second forge himself by the looks of things, which I think is a mistake. I almost think this is a good time for Shase to take a third base. You can see there, Shase is denying the third, or rather scouting the third of Static. He's getting some nice periodic scouting with these Phoenix. And I think Static might try a bit of a timing attack if he starts moving out soon with range and his upgrades, which all finish about the same time. So that's quite interesting. Even Charge is finishing that time, so that is quite in his favor. But if we look back here, we do have the Void Ray, and despite having Stalkers for defense, he's only got 10 now. So those Void Rays are going to be largely uncontested if he's careful with them, and just make sure that the Zealots and the Stalkers and the Immortals, which he does have quite a few of, clean up those 10 Stalkers quite quickly. And you can see there the Colossus count comes down in Shase's favor of 5-4. This is kind of a reminder of what Wings of Liberty PvP was like, where it was whoever has more Colossus wins. Of course, that's only up to about 7 though. 7 to 9 Colossus is the ideal number, and then you want to start getting some Immortals out to tank that extra damage. Now with these Phoenix and that Void Ray, he's going to be able to pick up Stalkers, he's going to be able to pick up Immortals, and he's going to be able to do extra damage to the Colossus. That's very much in his favor. However, his upgrades are very far behind. He's a full attack upgrade behind, despite being 20 army pop up. But his third is going to be up relatively soon, and he will probably have a strong economy just because he splits his probes really well. We'll see how he splits them. It's 18, 18, and already 11 there. Where if we look here, okay, it was 12, 13, and 17. So that's not the ideal split. That's not what he should be looking for. That's not what he should be doing. If I'm not mistaken, he just picked up an observer in the middle of the map. He did. And it looks like Shase is going to go and try to be a bit aggressive here. And if we look here, it's going to be 4+3 finishes for the Protoss, but for Static, but before +2 finishes as well, and I think that's what he really should do. Now Shase is just trying to pick off that Mothership Core and do a bit of harassment there, but he's pulled the whole army out of position, sadly into like a fairly nice concave here, but he is doing some nice Colossus micro. But again, he pulled them into like the perfect concave, and then he attacked into that. That is not really ideal for him. That Void Ray is doing some nice damage, the Stalkers are alive, the Void Ray is having to retreat, and this is very much a case of Shase had a good idea in trying to pull the army out of position, but he had bad luck in how it pulled him out into the same format. I don't think there was any form of plan from Skiblet. His army just kind of spread itself out haphazardly, I think, when the Phoenixes were attacking, and I'm going to put that one down a little bit of luck, and of course you have to have the skill to take advantage of that luck. So it was well played by Static, and he did deserve that win at the end of the game, because obviously the winner does deserve it. So yeah. So that was game 1. We're going to go into game 2 now. It's a best of 5 as well. So yeah, we'll just have to see here. If you look at the time supply cap, Shase had better. We look at everything pretty much that matters. Average unspent resources, Static had less, but it probably comes down to just on how much they were mining. And I think Shase's mineral advantage was really nice. I would have really liked to have seen a double forge from him, and just to take advantage of that. So we're going into game 3 right now. Game 2 rather, sorry. Game 2 of Shase versus Static. Bravado Shase versus Veneration Esports, I think it was, Static, for the 3rd, 4th place. There is a 1,000 Rand difference in the prize, and there may or may not be some goodies associated with the difference in Cooler Master hardware, which is also part of the prize. And we've got Belshire Vestige, Ladder Edition, coming up with Shase in the top left as the green Protoss, and we've got Static in the bottom right as the yellow Protoss. And I almost think like I could have a quick nap while we just wait for the Cybernetics core to be dropped, because then something useful might happen. Okay. So yeah, we've got the 9 pylon coming down. Sorry, just taking a bit of a breather. 9 pylon coming down for both players. We've got the 10 probe coming out for both players. No proxy shenanigans. Both players just saving up their Nexus energy. As you can see, they're both on 38, which is good because it means no one's hacking. Shase is a little bit quicker on that chrono boost, which is nice. I think Shase was overall a bit of a stronger player there in that game. Little bit of luck went against him, and it will be interesting to see how it goes on. This looks to shaping up to be an exciting series. Going back to a bit of the old PvP with Colossus Wars, very much like how you position all the rest, and I think upgrades made a big difference in that last game. If Shase had a quick look at the replay, or maybe just realized that maybe he should have had a second forge up, it could have made a big difference, especially since he started off ahead in upgrades and ended up behind by almost a full cycle or two. Yeah, we've got the... Oh, excuse me. We've got the... Sorry, beg your pardon. We've got the scouts coming out for Shase and Static, scouting each other's base, making sure that there's no funny business. There is actually a gateway and a pylon, and there is actually a simulator coming up, because that's important. We have both the simulators finishing up much of a muchness. And let's have a look here. We've got 3 and 2, so that's 5 for Shase, in a bit of a change, and we've got 2 and 2 for Static. So Shase is going for a little bit of a greedier gas build than what he normally does for, if it's not a mistake, and he's been so particular with how he places his probes. I don't think it is a mistake. He's got 3 and 3 on the gas versus Static's 2 and 2. So I'm almost going towards some form of Stargate play, maybe Twilight Council Blink, just because Robo doesn't require quite that much gas that early, just because of the investments of the units after that, more than the cost of the building. So we have Warp Gate started for the same time. We've got Shase going with the Zealot, Static not. We'll have to see what happens here. But for the most part, it's still very much mirror image. No Mothership Core from Shase. In fact, it's starting 25 seconds later, so that's fine. No 3-Stalker Rush from Shase either. On the other hand, Static has taken a page out of Shase's playbook, and he's going for the 3-Stalker Rush. Which is just 3 Stalkers, just to check for proxy pylons, make sure there's no probes running around hiding in the corners of your base. Probe can't outrun a Stalker, but it can outrun a Zealot and a Mothership Core, and a Sentry, and a Dark Templar. In fact, most of Protoss' units can be outrun by probes. So having those Stalkers, despite them not being able to really do much in a fight, unless they have Blink, are quite useful just hunting down probes. Now Shase is looking to... just scouting proxy pylons, making sure there's none left. I think in the first game he took a lot of damage from a proxy pylon on this map in that area, so he's just making sure. We've got Static going for some Mothership Harass. We've got Shase with 1 Stalker out and a second one on the way, and we'll just have to see what happens here. We've got a Stargate from Static, so now this is falling onto what he likes. He's going Stargate into Stargate. Sorry, I was talking about the scouting so much I forgot that. We've got Oracles followed up by Oracle followed up by Phoenix. Now Phoenix counters Oracle, and if you zoom in, you can see... Let's see if I can get this right. There we go. Oh, wrong one. There we go. That's a Phoenix. Now he cancelled the Oracle because he knew it was scouted, so he didn't think it would do as much damage. We've got Shase with Static without the map control that 3-Stalker Rush gives him, by just going for that. Now if we look here, you can also see the Phoenix. Ta-da! Fun little fact about Stargates. Lets you know it's being warped in. We've got this proxy pylon coming up in the top right, and Shase is expanding while Static is not. Now, I was told that Static favors this build. He goes Stargate into expand, but there's no expand. So this is going to be quite intriguing to see what happens. It looks like Shase is familiar with that because he's expanded. He's like, well, if my opponent's going to expand, I'm going to expand. And it is quite an early, or in fact, let me rather go with the fact that he's actually just gone with what the other guy has done. He decided that, well, if I've got Stargate, he can't really pressure me, so I'm going to expand. He's now seen the Stargate from Static, and you can look here. A Phoenix doesn't outchase a Phoenix. They both move really quickly, and because they can attack while moving, if he was a little bit quicker in getting that across, he would have done quite a bit more damage to that Phoenix and possibly killed it. Now, Static still thinks there's an Oracle on the map, and that Phoenix is out to bait, because if you look there, it's 3 Phoenixes versus 1. So Static is going, okay, well, this Oracle is out there. It's going to come for me. It's probably why he hasn't expanded yet, because he doesn't quite have the army he needs to defend everything. So this is going to be quite intriguing to see how it works, but now Static has realized there's no Phoenix coming. And it's 4 phoenixes. Sorry, there's no oracle coming. It's 4 phoenixes and so that's 6 stalkers and 2 zealots and a destructible rock versus an expansion, 3 gates and a stargate. Now we've got these rocks coming up, but if we look at the army supply, defender's advantage still favors Chase because of this beauty. Deals 20 damage a second for 60 seconds. Good luck attacking into that. So even though he has these phoenixes, Chase has got double stargate. Chase has got the same number of phoenixes. Chase now has the same number of phoenixes. And he has the planetary nexus, and we'll see what happens. Now, he can't attack, and Chase has another one. So these phoenixes will probably go... Static is probably thinking he has the phoenix advantage. I would in this case. Of course, I'm not in this case, because I never made it this far. And we'll have to see what happens. Now, Chase really likes the double stargate play. He's done this double stargate twice. But this time, he has the phoenix advantage. And if we look there, he's going to have a 7th one out. He's got defender's advantage. And when these phoenixes come in, if he's quick, not as quick as he could have been, but he could have done some damage. Now, he also doesn't want to move too many phoenixes because they're still the majority of his army. It's 7 phoenixes versus 7, 4 zealots versus 3, 3 stalkers versus 8, and the rest of the supply difference are probes. In fact, the probes at this base. That is something just to be aware of. Now, this planetary nexus has finished, and we've got another one started straight away. Great timing by Chase. We've got the phoenixes attacking each other, but you don't want to end up too close to the stalkers. And we've got Chase driving off this force. We've got the zealots coming in. We've got another round of warpins from Static coming in. Mainly zealots. We look at the unit supply. It's 4 zealots for Chase, 3 stalkers for Chase versus 6 and 1. But the phoenixes have 1, and they get to pick up the stalkers and play pin the tail on the donkey and just completely and utterly destroy them. We've got all these phoenixes coming in with tons of energy, and they're just picking up the rest of Static's army. Static's going to have no army left, and that is going to be the GG. If we look there, it's 26 army supply to 8, and that was the game. And that was basically just because he attacked into the Nexus cannon. He wasn't as quick. He lost those stalkers. Chase made sure to keep his stalkers back from that fight. Not his stalkers, his Phoenix back from that fight. His zealots were up front, tanking the damage. They do take a lot more damage from stalkers than another stalker would from a stalker. And just by not even really microing that, just microing those Phoenixes, making sure that his Phoenixes came out on top, he was able to secure the Phoenix lead. If you look there, it almost looks like he lost none. Probably lost about 2, maybe 3 in that fight. And he managed to secure the win just off that, especially since he took no economic damage. And that ties up the score to 1-1. It is 1-1 to bvd'Shase and VnR'Static Static. In fact, let me make sure I've got that right. VnR'Static, yes. I don't know why there's an R in there, but yes. Or capital R, rather. And that would be the second game of this best of 5, so please don't go anywhere. There is lots left happening. It's Arachne is your caster today. That is me. That is I is him. I am casting the 3rd, 4th playoff of the Starcraft 2 championships. Panda Tank managed to lose 3-0 to Skiblet, who is the new champion against all odds. And in a PvP, Skiblet just looked really much like he had Panda Tank's number. He pushed Panda Tank into decisions where he couldn't make split-second decisions. Panda Tank looked a little bit edgy, a little bit slow, and Skiblet used that to his advantage. He beat Game 1 was Blinkstalkers versus Blinkstalkers. Skiblet won, and which is surprising because Panda Tank made his name in the South African scene with amazing and impeccable Blink microcontrol. And he then lost Game 2 in a DT versus DT, pretty much, where Skiblet went Observer and Panda Tank didn't. There we go. And in Game 3 it was Stargate versus a Robo build. No, it was not. Yes, it was. Panda Tank went Stargate versus... No, that's not right. Panda Tank went Robo versus Skiblet's Stargate, sorry. And despite getting a superior army composition, was a bit careless with his Tempest, and that rounded up the series for that. But now we're going into Game 3 of this PvP 3rd, 4th playoff between VnR'Static Static and bvd'Shase. This is the Do Gaming League Starcraft 2 Championships final match. And when the game loads, hopefully it's not me. It probably is me. So we'll just have to see what happens. No, it wasn't me. Okay. So we've got Static spawning as the yellow Protoss in the bottom left, Shase spawning as the green Protoss in the top right. Now, the last time I spec this game, I just saw fit to mention that you have to be worried about cannon rushes. And look at this. There is a probe. It is leaving the base before a 9 pylon. What this means is there's probably going to be a cannon rush or some form of proxy gate. Now, looking at where he's placing this probe, I'm going with proxy gate. Okay. Now, the reason why he took so much longer to get that extra minerals is that he had one less probe mining. Now, this area here is great for a cannon rush. You put a pylon there, a cannon there, and you can guard this high ground. Shase, on the other hand, is going for a proxy 2 gate. So when Static scouts this corner of the map and goes, phew, not me today, he might not scout this. Because the usual scouting path comes down through here, comes down through there, and should just miss this. If we look at that vision revealed, it's missing that ramp. So we'll have to see what happens here. We've got the probe from Static going the long way and the wrong way round. So he is not going to see this, and it is a double proxy gate. And this can be very good for Shase, because as you can see, he starts the production. But Static is not going to know what is it. Is it a... Ooh, this is quite clever. He pulls the probe back. Generally what happens is that some Protosses will keep that probe with the first zealot just for additional harass, because all Static will have out is a zealot. Will have out is a zealot. And by having out a zealot on a probe will win, because it's an extra 15 damage. Now Static realizes there's something wrong, but he hasn't scouted this side of the base yet. And now he goes to scout that side of the base. And now Static goes, oh darn, I could be getting cannon rush. So he's going for a forge. Shase, on the other hand, has zealots coming out. Static does not. Now zealots are not great versus cannon rushes, but stalkers are. And cannons are good versus cannon rushes, but not too good versus zealots that can't, versus cannons that can't actually finish. So we'll have to see what happens here, because if he goes... Okay, well, let's just focus on this right now. We've got the probe micro up here, because that's more relevant. And we've got Static going no cyber core, so he's going to have to protect that cannon. He's got a zealot out now. Shase has got 3. Shase still has 1 zealot, so Shase has the clear zealot advantage here. He's got another 2 on the way. He has to stop that cannon though. If we look there, he's managing to do quite a bit of damage there. He's killing off some probes. If we look at the overall worker lead, it's only equal. And it's only equal because that's what happens when you cannon rush. Okay, so now that cannon is not long for this world. It might get cancelled. It should get cancelled. It doesn't get cancelled, it gets destroyed. And we've got 2 zealots. And now we look at that. There, we've got way less probes. We've got another 2 zealots coming in. And he's chrono boosting out. He'll have 3 zealots before this cannon finishes. And he's going to wait. And if we look there, we've only got the 1 zealot because Static has no income. He's only got 9 probes. Shase has more probes. It's almost at the stage that he's done enough economic damage, but that cannon is very close to finishing, and we'll just have to see how it happens here. If that cannon finishes, Shase's harass ends. He can kill the gateway, and that's largely it. So this is not quite great for him, but if we look at this range, oh, he can get the pylon as well. That's even better. He'll get the pylon, he'll get the gate, and this is very much Static out the game. There's not much he can do here, especially since the hero probe has a kill. If that probe was still alive, he could be going for some form of... He could be going for some form of cannon rush, counter cannon rush. Instead, he's got 4 zealots, and he's probably just going to wait a bit for the shield, get some more zealots out. He's got 5 on the way. Pick up this gateway, and once this gateway goes down, there's not much really left to be done. But once he gets 5, 6 zealots, he can just aim move the cannon, and there won't be anything to stop him. So now, Static will have a cybernetic score, but nothing to build from it. Shase will have a cybernetic score, but with Stalkers to build from it, and Stalkers do amazingly versus cannons. They get to kite back and forth, and no pylon. So now it's 5 zealots versus a zealot. And a very sad pylon. I don't think Shase has quite realized this, so I think he's almost waiting for the GG, because he knows everything's still down. And he left it a bit late, but he should get this pylon no problem. And it's just out of range even. If we look there, it's just out of range. Doesn't matter. That pylon is going to come in and actually not even finish. There's the game. Yeah, so that is now 2-1 to Shase's favor. Going a bit of a mind game. This is a very popular map for cannon rushes, so he didn't cannon rush. Static, on the other hand, went, oh darn, it's a cannon rush map, and went anti-cannon rush, so great mind game from Shase. Very well played. Managing to edge out a lead in this best of 5, so 1 more to go. So yeah, we're just going to wait and see what happens here. See if there's anyone on my stream. Okay. Okay. I've just apparently, someone in the chat says that I've got. Okay. So yeah, let's have a look here. We've got the final, well, not the final game. We've got game 4 coming up. It is currently 2-1 to bvd'Shase. After losing the first map to VnR'Static, he's managed to come back with 2 in a row with some very nice play, very good macro. And that's very much in his favor. So we just look here, here's the game invite. We're playing on Whirlwind. Now this is personally my favorite map to proxy 2-gate in a PvP. We've got VnR'Red standing by. And just because it was brought up, this is the story behind the channel name, in case you're wondering why it's a bit strange. When I was back in junior school, we had to come up with an email address for our Hotmail account, because everyone had to have a Hotmail account. And at that stage I was going like, oh wow, you know, well, Robert goes short to Bobby, and William goes short to Billy, so you know, like, wow, you know, like, let's make an email address. So I tried Bobby and it didn't work, and I tried Bobby 2 and it didn't work, and I thought, well, no, that's just sounding a bit weird. So I went with Bobby at 5, because you know how emails work, and you had to end up with something that is actually available. So now going into this, we've got Shase spawning in the bottom left as the green Protoss. He is going to be not cross-spawn position with VnR'Static. I think that this favors Static. Actually, I think this favors Shase a little bit, because if Static goes into airplay, he has to cross the natural. Where if Shase goes into airplay, he can split off quite easily. And then in the top left, we've got VnR'Static, the yellow Protoss, probably quite a bit shell-shocked after the proxy 2-gate from the last game, because generally it leaves one with a bad feeling in either in the pit of the stomach, or just kind of rage-colored spectacles. So now, as has been the norm with these PvPs, if there's no early probe leaving the base, which there is, that's interesting, there should be nothing really funny happening. Now Shase is probably going like, well, hey, I just cheesed him, he's down, I've got match point, let's play safe, let's try find him first. So he's scouting, sadly the wrong way, but he is scouting. And we've got VnR'Static scouting, also, funny enough, the wrong way. Generally players tend to scout the same direction, and it tends to be, I don't know, personally I go clockwise, I think. And generally if you watch the pro games, they also go clockwise, so this is quite intriguing that one's going anti and one's going clockwise. Now what's also big on this map is that once you scout the bottom, you make sure that there's no proxy gate coming in through the center, because if you don't know where they are, you want to scout that center to make sure that there's nothing standing by. So now these probes are both going to hit each other. Chase is probably going to think it's a late scout, but let's just go back to the gas. We've got 4 workers on gas for Chase, we've got 1 for Static. I prefer this form of opener from Chase. It gives you a little bit more gas. And see what happens. Now the probes have passed like 2 ships in the night. They waved their little proby hands, if you watched any Starcrafts, and maybe did a bit of a high five, realized that they weren't going to kill each other anytime soon, and realized, phew, not today, or at least not right now. So if we look here, we've got mirror images still. Static getting a second assimilator, Shase getting a little bit more of a gas heavy build, but the Cybernetic score is finishing off much of a muchness. Warp gate started, much of a muchness. Cybernetic mothership core for Shase straight away. There should be a pylon coming down for Shase fairly soon. Static going for a very defensive build, and he looks like he's going to proxy something in his own base, or rather hide something in his own base, probably along the lines of DTs. Now when that sentry pops, this probe dies, and he's not going to see that pylon down at the bottom. He's going to see the double gas. He's probably going to Let's have a look. What is he clicking on? He's not clicking on anything. Nope, he died clicking on the probe. On the other hand, we've got Chase going on this probe. Got one hit off. We've got the mothership core coming in. This probe will probably also die. And I think it might have just edged that Stargate. I don't know if he had time to click on it. But we'll have to see what happens here. Now, if he did have time to click on it, you go straight into Twilight Council. Especially since you haven't chosen the tech path. If we look at the chrono boost, there's quite a bit of energy lying on there. If we look at the chrono boost there, this is as well. But it's interesting to see what he's going to be placing it on. If we look at work accounts, it's in static status, so he has been casting it on the Nexus. Aha! Static has gone for just a two-gate expand and a very late Twilight Council, which is not going to be in time to deal with this Oracle. In fact, he doesn't have very much useful anti-air. If you think a Sentry is good versus an Oracle, try it sometime. It's not. So we have one Oracle out for Chase. Is there another one queued? No, not yet. He does have the minerals for it if he wants to. Still got the chrono boost. No, nothing yet. Wow, there's quite a lot of chrono boost on that. We've got the hallucinated Phoenix coming in. And if they see each other, it might give Chase some pause. It does not see each other. They do not see each other, rather. Wow, my grammar is terrible. And we're going into 3 gates and possibly Blink. Is there Blink? He's got a lot saved up. I see no Dark Shrine. Got an Oracle inside of this pylon and the pylon inside of the Oracle. We've got Stalkers coming in. Chase left it a bit long. Chase is now going to just go scout. So he's going to see that his Nexus is quite a bit behind. But again, Chase is just so good at that macro. He's managed to pull up ahead. He's got 26 probes despite having a 3 worker deficit just now. And we'll have to see what happens here. We don't have Chase building a pylon just yet, so he is... Oh, sorry, it just finished. Wow. That's what happens when you're trying to cover everything at once. But anyway, we've got an Oracle with full energy. Now, an Oracle with full energy can do quite a bit of damage to sentries. Because if you look there, it's in 4 seconds, it dies. Wait, how fast does it attack? Yeah, in about 4 seconds, it dies. Attacks the same speed as a Marine. So we'll just have to see what happens here. We've got Static going, again, a lot of Stalkers, keeping them very far away. And Chase going for Phoenixes now. So if he can come in and maybe pick up some Stalkers, he can do a lot of damage with that Oracle. It does have a lot of energy. But for the most part, it's 1 probe each. Now we do have a Robo coming down from Static. He's getting Blink, he's getting Robo. He seems to be going into a Blinky Mortar build, which was quite popular towards the end of Wings of Liberty and PvP as well. It's quite difficult to deal with. But we'll just have to see what happens here. Chase, on the other hand, is investing in Phoenixes, so Robo is not that great. Oh, that was a bit of a miss micro, but again, the joys of a Protoss is that you have no shield damage, so we'll just have to see what happens there. Now that was a misclick. He should not have picked it up. I don't think he intended to pick it up. I think it was kind of a habit. And by the looks of things, he's going to be taking some damage there, and he lost a Phoenix for no probe, so that was really not ideal. But Chase, again, is building up that economic lead. He has 10 workers on the main and 16 there. With Static is 16 and 15. Oh wow, okay, but Chase is mining the gas. So he does have a higher gas income. If we look there, double almost. In fact, pretty much double. And he does have a higher... No, he doesn't have a higher mineral income. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen. But yes, moving on. Gas is more important to a Protoss than minerals. It'll always be. What does a mineral get you? Minerals get you a Zealot, or a Probe, or a Pylon. What does gas get you? It gets you HTs, it gets you DTs, it gets you Phoenixes, it gets you Oracles, it gets you Void Rays, it gets you Tempests, it gets you Carriers. I don't think I need to go on at this point in time. Now we do have Static going with double upgrades, where Chase is going double Robo. So if he can hit a timing before the double Forge really kicks in, and he can hit a lot of Colossus, about 3-4 Colossus to Static's 2, he can do a lot of damage, and the upgrade won't mean that much, especially since he has Void Rays. Now we have that Robo Bay coming out, and we've got an Observer coming out for Chase. You'll probably see this one from Static. We've got the Void Ray coming out for Chase. We have Chase with equal army size, sorry, a larger army and lower probe count. I'm looking at the wrong number here. No mistake, I can do it. Whoa, that's not... Sorry, I'll be right back. Yeah. Huh. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, not sure why that's not working. No, okay. But yes, if you're joining us, this is 2-1 currently in Chase's favour. I don't think I've lost much here. 2 probes have gone down. Another planetary overcharge. Nexus photon overcharge. Sorry, I was a student of the Autosis school, and we said we should all call it planetary nexus. And then he came out the other day and said, "Never again. It's not a planetary cannon, planetary fortress. It's just not the same." So if we look here at the army, we're forcing out a lot of stalkers from Static, which means that that gas is not going towards Oracles, Phoenix, Void Rays, Immortals, Tech, Double Colossus, and +1. So just forcing out these continual stalkers means these Phoenixes, even though they're not doing any harass, are being very useful for Static. Now we've got this probe going out, and is he scouting for proxies, or is he trying to make one? I think he's scouting for a proxy pylon, or maybe a proxy nexus, or he might even go and place one himself. Now if we look at Chase, he does have a lot of income. This is very much a remnant of the Wings of Liberty style. You never take a third, or you only take a third once you've pretty much killed the other guy. So we've got 2 Colossus. We've got we do not have range upgrade for Chase, so that's going to be quite telling. But again, he's getting the right units. He has 3 Void Rays, 2 Colossus. He's got another Colossus on the way. His army is getting quite substantially bigger. He's behind in upgrades, but he'll be able to do something with this. He's got his own double forge online now. He's now getting the external thermal launch, and Static is taking a third. So he was actually just scouting to make sure. He's got a proxy pylon or 2 blocking, just making sure that there is no easy to take third and that he knows when it's done. Now, we still have this Oracle. It's on 100 energy. It can be used for cloak detection. It can be used for revealing the army. It's 2 Colossus versus quite a lot, actually. I think it's 3. It's double rover versus 1, but they're both just going for single rover, and as I say that, he pops another one in. And we'll just have to see what happens here. Now, Chase is going to go with this extended thermal lance finishing off, and his +1 armor upgrade attack. So we'll just have to see what happens here. Now this is an hallucinated Phoenix, so Chase is hiding his army. He doesn't want his army comp scouted, but then he runs into a pylon, so that's not ideal. He does clean out that pylon, and he's going to take his own third. He realizes that that's what's happening. That Phoenix does just poof, disappear as it is hallucination. But again, let's have a look here. We have Static, who is oversaturated. 61 probes without a third base. He's now getting that third base up. We have 32 probes on his natural. We have 14 on his main. We have 22 on Chase's main and 19 on Chase's natural. So that is a big problem. His income, let's actually have a look there, isn't even close to what Chase's is, despite having so many more probes. So that is a big problem for him, and he had all this wonderful advantage and he wasted it. Now Chase is going to lose no, he doesn't. He's going to have some fun with this probe line. Fox in a hen house comes to mind, and he does pick up some nice things. He might be able to pick up that. No, he does not. He changes his mind. He loses all his Phoenixes but 1. So that's not great for him, but it does free up some supply for him, and I really think that you can say that those were quite useful. Now if we look at the upgrades, it's 1-1 for Chase versus 2-2 for Static, but there is a 20 army pop difference. Now this was about the same difference as game 1, and it didn't do any favors for Chase, but his engagement was pretty bad, to be frank. And we do have this secondary proxy pylon up. We do have a proxy pylon up there as well, and a secondary one back here. So both players are kind of understanding what they should be doing and how they should be going about it. But I think Static is setting up for a stronger late game, because as soon as army sizes match up, his army will roll Chase's. He's busy getting 3-3, but it's 7 Colossus to 6. Chase stopped Colossus production. That's a big problem. Chase does have 5 Void Rays, but Static has a really nice concave here. Now this one I know is on purpose. Chase, on the other hand, has his Dark Zealots, has his Stalkers, does not have charge. If I'm not mistaken, where's the Zealots? Nope, no charge. Static has charge. Charge makes a big difference because it changes where your Zealots fight. If my Zealots fight underneath your Colossus against your Zealots, my Colossus are hitting them, and your Colossus. If my Zealots fight under your Colossus with your Zealots, my Colossus are hitting your Colossus. So charge is a very big play. So we'll have to see what happens. And in fact, there is charge being research and level 1 air weapons, which is really nice, because even though he's getting that +2, he is a little bit late, so having that extra damage on the Void Rays will be a good thing for Shase. If we look at the mineral income, Shase has got quite a bit of minerals, so he might even just start looking for a 4th expand, maybe get some gas, drop down a Nexus, drop down some extra gateways, and see what happens there, because gas is always a premium. And we've got these Stalkers just having a look around, seeing what they can find. And we have a Void Ray who... I don't know what happened. That Void Ray just flew in, apparently. Oh, sorry. He cast Revealed. I don't see that very often. He cast Revealed. Now this is on them for quite a long time. And if we look at Shase's army... Oh, look. If we look at Shase's plan, we see that he's taken a 4th to Static's 4th. So Shase is taking a very reactionary role to this. He's going, well, you take a 4th, I'll take a 4th. You take a 3rd, I'll take a 3rd. And this is turning into a nice macro game. Now, 19 minutes is the stage where Static lost both games to Panda Tank. So I think there might be some form of a timing that could be exploited here that Shase isn't doing. But if you look at the army supply, it's equal. If you look at the upgrades, well, as soon as this finishes, I'd say that it is rather equal. But that +3 isn't coming. Static is maxed out, Shase is not. Shase is going for more research, he's going for more tech, he's going for an expansion. Then again, so is Static. He's got some Archons, he's getting a nice concave. Does he still have the Oracle? I'd like to see another revelation. He does have the Oracle. Oh wow, that works. Okay, so now we've got Shase setting up a nice concave. He managed to see what was happening on that tower, so he's around here. If we look at pure strength of units, we've got the Void Rays, which is great. We've got Stalkers, which are not great. We've got more Immortals for Shase, which is great. We've got less Zealots, which is not great. And we've got Archons for Static, which is not great. So it really comes down to a very close... it will come down to how do they position, because if those Zealots get caught in a choke, it would favor Chase. If those Archons get to go at clumped units, it favors Static. And here I'd almost like to see just 3 Zealots run up the ramp. In fact, that looks like exactly what he wants to do. He's going to send up 4 Zealots, just go, hey, I'm in your base. What are you going to do about it? We've got that Observer coming in, we've got that Mothership Core coming in, we've got a very bunch of clumped up units for Shase, so that's not great. Now we have the engagement going on, Shase is very clumped up, and just from these initial stages you can see that it did quite a bit. And if we look at units lost now, Shase is, well, still miles ahead in Probe's guild. But yeah, if we look here now, we've got Shase. He's waiting for +3. He's got +3. He's waiting for +1 shields, which is nice. It saves the Void Rays. He's got that. He's getting Blink. He's getting +3 armor. He doesn't need to be aggressive here because this isn't doing that much to him right now. He's just kind of looking at each other. I would really like Static to warp in some units from here. In fact, that's exactly what he's doing. We've got Static trying to kill these gateways because at the end of the day, gateways help. We've got these Colossus, but that's 1 less Colossus. If we look at the numbers of Colossus, it's 10 to 8. Shase has a favor in that. He's got the Void Rays. It'll be great for him. We've got Static realizing that, hang on, I just lost some units there. I'm down in Colossus. He has Archons. He has more Immortals. He's catching me up in Zealots. Maybe it's time to just fall back. If we look at the upgrades now, Shase is going to be catching up because it's 1-1 Plasma Shield. He's got the Double Forge going. He's got another Robo going because when you've got 4 bases, 3 mining bases, you can do that. If we look at Static, his income isn't as great. If we just look at the fact that he's still got mineral patches there, it's not great for him. If we look at his natural's mined out a lot sooner than Chase's. If we look at his third isn't saturated. If we look at his 4th, it's not saturated. If we look there, we've got 24 probes for 3 patches. Static is macro, definitely does not seem to be a strong point. On the other hand, Chase's macro, let's have a look here. We've got 9 workers, we've got, no workers, that's even better. We've got 12 workers and we've got 14 workers. He spread them out quite nicely. Static is just taking expansions because he's trying to figure out, well, I've got all this money, what do I need to do? But that's not his problem. He needs to just sort out his macro in general. We've got a massive engage going on in the middle. We've got Chase with a great concave. We've got Colossus going on, laser wars. We've got the Void Rays attacking the wrong units. They're now focusing on the armored units. It's going better. We've got Stalkers at the back. We've only got Stalkers left. If you have a look there, we've got Colossus and Stalkers versus 12 Zealots, 11 Zealots coming in from the back, Observers going down. Chase has managed to just eke out a win here. He's got these Void Rays, but they can't catch. If he can just get close, he can manage to pick off 2 Colossus, but he just can't get there. The Colossus are there. He managed to pick off 1. He's got to pick up this Force Pylon. It's not going to do much. Chase is reinforcing faster because he has those triple robots. We've got quadruple rovers. We've got 4 Colossus coming in. We've got the armor coming in for Chase now. We've got that extra plasma shield coming in for Chase now. We've got that +1 attack on the Void Rays, and they're attacking the right units. They're killing the Colossus. We've got these Stalkers underneath the Void Rays. When that Colossus dies, there's going to be nothing stopping the Void Rays from dying. Apparently Chase pulls back, but if we look at the army supply, it's 74 to 54. The upgrades, they're equal. They're going to be ahead in Chase's favor. We've got that Air 1 weapons. We've got more Zealots coming in. We're killing off that Nexus on the side there, and we've got this probe transfer. And again, where are those probes coming from? They should be coming from he has probes sitting in his base. His macro has not been up. We've got these Zealot counterattack coming in the bottom right. We've got a nice-ish SimCity. They won't be able to get great surface area on these cannons. They're not even going for the cannons. They're going for the Nexus. We've got Chase coming in on the top. There's action pretty much everywhere on the map. We've got Static taking a base on this far right over here. We've got Chase being caught out of position. His Colossus aren't all attacking the same unit. We've got these Archons coming in. They're not doing much. They're stopping the Zealots, which is what they're supposed to do, but they're not stopping the Void Rays. The Void Rays are the big problem. We've got Chase's Colossus. He still has 3 coming on, and an Immortal now coming on the side. And this looks very much like it's going to be Chase's game. It's 168 to 87. It's 110 army supply to 20. And what happened down there? We've got Zealots just sitting there for Chase. He doesn't need them. He's got this game in the 1. The 3rd is going to go down. The Natural is being attacked. That Rover has got queued up Colossus, and the macro for Static just isn't where it needs to be. We've got Archons in the back. They can't get out. They walked in from the back behind the middle line. He can't get them out, and that is the game. Just building positioning was so important in that game. Just on that last bit, army positioning was so important. Again, just like it was in the first game. And Chase manages to eke out the win, wins 3-1, comes 3rd, and gets that extra 1,000 Rand to his name. And I'd have to say that was very well played by him. Almost makes one wonder what would have happened if Chase played Panda Tank, because the macro of Chase in pretty much all his games was way better than Static, and that's what it came down to in the end. So yes, that concludes the tournament for now. This was the final match of the Starcraft 2 DGL Championships. It was Chase versus Static, with Chase taking 3rd place. The finals was Panda Tank versus Skiblet, with Skiblet winning 3-0, upsetting the number 1 seed in quite surprising games. Panda Tank was pretty much outplayed using the same builds. So there's not much really more to say there. That would be on the DGL's website later, I'm sure, if you missed it. Otherwise, my name is Arachne, and I will be signing off, and thank you very much for tuning in. Peace out, everyone. Yeah, and that would be... Let's go back to Carrion, and yeah, I'll be off. Thank you very much for tuning in.